So, you've heard some great things about cruising, and you found this video. Smart move. I'm happy to help you break that cherry. I'm Admiral Tim Cruise, king of all cruises. Cruise vacations are our favorite way to holiday. We've done over 80 cruises since the late 1990s, and we're not bored yet, believe it or not. We'll cover what you need to know so you can decide if cruising is for you. A lot of people want to know this information. When you think about it, a cruise is really a floating hotel that moves to different places each day. And to help keep costs in check, it's all inclusive. Your room, travel, entertainment, swimming pools, hot tubs, and your meals. And some beverages are already included in your base cruise fare. So we get questions on our socials all the time. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and ask your questions in the comments too. Let's answer a few frequently asked questions about cruises first. Number one, is cruising expensive? Cruising can cost as little as $50 per day per person for an off-season inside room on an older ship. Or you can climb into the tens of thousands if you bougie, you know what I mean? If you're a gambler, you can actually cruise for free after you've dropped a few grand in cruise ship casinos. We've done 7-day cruises for under $100 a day per person, and we spent over $30,000 on our extended bucket list Iceland cruise between the cruise, travel, and hotels. I mean, all that added together. And it's a little controversial, but if you're really on a budget, some people remove the daily gratuities and leave the cruise with a zero balance, and it could totally be done. Is cruising boring, people ask? Absolutely not. There's always something going on for just about everyone. Of course, you'll eat until you explode. It's unlimited food, so try everything. Don't eat what you don't like. Order more of what you do like. And there are activities in the cruise planner just about every hour, from trivia to art to dancing to education to ship tours to bingo. There are even AA meetings. Or just chill and soak up some sun by the pool. Or grab a book and hide somewhere quiet. Or go to the gym and work out. Or explore the ship, watch a movie. Millions of things to do. There are kids clubs with supervised activities for the little ones, some into the evening. There's always something to do. And I have to admit, so on some of the older, smaller ships without the more modern amenities, I did get a little squirrely after a few days. But even I found something to amuse myself most of the time. People ask, how's the food? Well, if you've ever been to a wedding or a company party, you'll get the gist. The logistics of cooking at that scale are insane. Fortunately, most of the food's edible. Some is very good. Some, well, can be bland or undercooked. It's actually hit or miss most of the time. If you're a foodie and you have the means, opt for the cruise ship specialty restaurants. They cook individual meals with more attention to detail, but you'll have to pay a little bit extra for that. People ask, how are the people? So you've probably heard some horror stories by now about fights and people falling off ships. Fortunately, these incidents are very rare and usually happen on smaller ships on shorter cruises, sometimes referred to as booze cruises. More on that later. For the most part, you're going to be completely safe. In over 80 cruises, I have yet to witness a fist fight or drowning, but I do avoid booze cruises for the most part. People are generally super friendly and very, very chill, regardless of where they're from. We've made some awesome friends from all over the world on our cruises. So here's what you need to know about cruising before booking your first cruise. First of all, how's your health? Do you plan to be pregnant? After 23 weeks, there's an increased risk in pregnancy, such as preterm labor and delivery. Now, on board, they may not have the medical equipment and staff available to treat these types of emergency situations, so they might not let you on that late. Are you generally well enough or mobile enough to travel? You have to ask yourself these questions. 2, do you get seasick? Now, there are remedies that work very well for some people. There are over-the-counter medications like Bonine and Dramamine. Some people say ginger or wristbands work for them. I used to get horribly seasick and nothing else worked. The only thing that helped me was the patch. So it's always better to be ready just in case. It's difficult, if not impossible, and really expensive to travel home during a cruise. Number 3, what's your budget? What can you afford to spend? Now, sodas and alcoholic drinks are usually not included in the base cruise fare, and you can't bring your own. There are tons of optional add-ons too, like specialty dining, spa services, excursions, and casinos. And don't forget travel and hotel to get to the cruise port if you're driving in. Also, parking expenses at the port can range from $75 to $150. Number 4, how long can you be away? Will you need phone or internet during that time? Cruises can be 1 night to up to a year long. Most are 3 to 7 nights. Bad weather can extend a cruise a day or two. And during the pandemic, several thousand people were quarantined for over a week, but that'll probably never happen again. And also, don't forget travel time to and from the cruise port when you're figuring out your time. Number 5, people. Are you traveling solo, as a couple, as a family, or with a group? Some cruise lines are better for families. Others cater more towards adults, and we'll talk about all that soon. Number 6, places. What do you want to see? Most American cruisers start with a Caribbean cruise. They're cheaper, open all year, and there's so many beautiful and friendly destinations. You can also visit Iceland or Alaska during the summer. You can go to Hawaii, South America, Asia, Panama Canal, Mediterranean, and there are also river cruises throughout Europe. Number 7, which cruise line should I choose? And that's a really hard question to answer, but we get it all the time. Some people say Carnival is best for young people. Royal Caribbean is best for families. Disney is best if you don't have a problem eating with mice. And Holland America may be the best for old people. But it's just not that easy, and it may not be true. For example, Royal Caribbean has several different classes of ships. Icon of the Seas will be a completely different experience than Grandeur of the Seas. Icon of the Seas, one of the world's largest cruise ships, was built for families with kids. They have huge water parks. While kids hate Grandeur of the Seas because there's not a whole lot for them to do. The older people we met on Grandeur knew that, which is pretty much why they use that ship all the time. They pretty much own it. Or a 3-night weekend cruise is cheaper and more of a booze cruise, which is obviously much more fun and wild than a 7-night family vacation cruise. Which leads us to number 8. Do you need a travel agent to book a cruise? Now, we book most of our cruises, to be honest, direct or through Costco. We get $100 shopping carts. But should you use a travel agent? I'd say for the first few cruises, it's not a bad idea to book with a travel agent to explain everything as you're getting to know what's what. Plus, they can help with flights, hotels, and transfers if you need those, if you're flying into a port. We did use a travel agent for our Iceland cruise and our short European thing afterwards because it got kind of complicated with all the travel for my tiny little brain. Now, when you're getting ready to cruise, you should have all of these things ready to go like months in advance. All right, so the most critical thing you're going to need is identification. There's no exception to this rule. If you don't have the proper identification when you get to the cruise port, you won't be allowed to board the ship, and that's going to ruin your whole day. When you check in at the port, you're going to need a valid passport. That's always the best thing. Or a combination of an official state-validated birth certificate, that's not the stupid one with your baby's footprints, and a valid state-issued photo ID if you're over 16 years of age. Now, there's this new thing called Real ID, which is becoming integrated into most state driver's licenses. On May 7th, 2025, U.S. travelers must be Real ID compliant to board domestic flights and access certain federal facilities. Cruises will probably follow suit. And also beginning in 2025, U.S. passport holders traveling to Europe will need to apply for authorization through the European Travel Information and Authorization System before their visit. We don't have a lot of information on that, but it's coming soon. I used to think travel insurance was a waste of money when I was 25 and broke. But for most grown-ups, it kind of makes sense. I mean, things happen. See, if you have a heart attack, a stroke, break a leg, or something else that the ship doctor doesn't think she or he can handle, you might need to make your own way home from some 2-bit island somewhere, if you're lucky enough to be in port. Or you might need to be evacuated by helicopter. And these expenses get kind of crazy, and they're usually not covered by your normal health insurance or credit cards, and they can be devastating. Trip insurance covers most of these expenses and typically runs a few $100 per cruise. Or we bought an annual plan that covers just about every cruise we take. They ran about $800 a year for both of us. We thought that was a better deal. Now, what are you going to pack? You're going to pack mostly casual clothing. Start thinking about this, especially for Caribbean cruises. Remember, people are sitting by the pool, dipping their toes in the sand, and generally chilling. So think mostly jeans, shorts, and sandals. Now, you've probably heard about these formal nights everybody talks about and whatever. Sure, it's nice to dress up, but let's be honest. On most cruise lines, and especially in tropical areas, there really are no dress codes enforced for anything. Unless you want fancy family photos, casual is the way to go. The most important thing you'll need to pack is comfortable shoes because there is a lot of walking, especially on the newer, bigger ships. We hit over 20,000 steps a day just walking around the ship. And don't forget to pack the obvious, your toiletries, your medications, and your sunscreen, especially your prescription meds. Yes, you can buy most of that stuff in a port or on the ship, but expect to pay a lot more. Now, research the ports you'll be visiting on your cruise on blogs or YouTube channels like this. Make sure you subscribe. You should book excursions through the cruise line, or independently well in advance because they book up quickly. Now, it's a lot safer to book an excursion through a cruise line because they vet the vendors. And if your group returns late, the ship will wait for you. If you book an excursion independently, you're on your own, and the cruise ship will not wait if your group returns late. Also, book specialty dining reservations in advance. Most of the Icon of the Sea restaurants are sold out 6 months in advance if you want to eat really good food. Now let's talk about arriving at the departure port. You've got everything else lined up. It's a good idea to arrive at the cruise port city at least a day before your cruise departs to avoid any travel delays that might cause you to miss your cruise. No, they won't wait for anyone, regardless of who you are. If you're driving in, there's always a place to check your bags before you park. It's right there. You'll see signs, hopefully. So check those bags. Carrying them down the stairs or in a crowded elevator, it just sucks. Allow some time to find a parking spot and navigate your way through the parking lot. It's going to take a while. The crowded elevators are going to be a pain, and walking to the line is going to take some time. So give yourself a little time for that. And finally, get ready to stand in some long lines. It's just the way to go. Now, once you're on board the ship, well, you've made it. You're ready to vacation. Congratulations. Get yourself a beverage and relax. Your room probably won't be ready when you board, so find somewhere to just chill out and people watch and enjoy. Take some time to explore the ship. Familiarize yourself with the layout and the different areas on the ship. Find places like the theater, the pools, the buffet, and the restaurants, just to kind of figure out where you are. Attend the mandatory muster drill. That's the safety drill held on the first day of every cruise to familiarize yourself with safety procedures and evacuation routes. Now, in the event of an emergency, there's no way people are going to follow any procedures or evacuation routes. But it's kind of a nice gesture anyway, and you have to do it. Most importantly, cruises are about relaxation and enjoyment. Participate in onboard activities, socialize, meet some new friends, and enjoy the journey as much as the ultimate destinations. Remember, every cruise line and every ship has its unique offerings and rules. So it's always a good idea to do some specific research for your cruise to get the best experience. And let us know if you have any questions below, and we'll do our best to answer them. Happy cruising. Enjoy your cruise. We'll see you out on the 7 seas.
I'm not leaving my wingman. My long-lost cousin, Tim Cruise, is the ultimate reviewer. Woo! Please watch Cruise Reviews with Tim Cruise. Now, Tim feels the need for speed. Well, not so much speed, we're on a cruise, but he completes me. Cruise Reviews. There is no substitute.